Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Factorio Railworld, where in the previous episode we were trying to sort out the production chain leading from oil to modules, because it's no good at the moment. We need a bunch of speed modules to do all our rocket stuff and also to make more destroyer drones. Now it turns out we need a lot more of them than previously, and the basic problem is that we need more crude oil coming in. So I've done a bit of work on it, so we'll have a look at how the plastic is going now. And I see that it's getting fairly far along the line, and even one bit of plastic gets to the second to last assembler that makes advanced circuits. So that is better than before. I think that means that we've got more plastic coming in maybe than we had back in well, I don't know how far back, but more than we've had for a long time at the very least, because now we seem to have a lot of the assemblers being active. The main problem right now is that they're mostly active only half the time. Because there's a gap between the deliveries of plastic and it's not built up. So we'll have to continue work on it, and one thing I do is set up an assembler to make speed modules. We already have one of these, but this one is going to put them into a provider chest and they can go to all of the things that need them, because at the moment the other assembler that makes them puts them into a provider chest, but that provider chest then has them taken out and put into the production of level 2 speed modules, which means none of them are getting to anything that it needs to be delivered by logistics by. So we'll see how that goes. I'm now going to sort out my inventory for a bit. I put a bunch of stuff into a storage chest, forgetting that logistics trash slots are now a thing, and I don't need to do that sort of thing anymore. I can just dump them in there, and if they can go somewhere good, they go there, and otherwise they go into a storage chest anyway. So I'm going to go over to the oil deposit, though. On my way there, I spot that we have this wood thing going on here. We've unloaded it into a chest, but the capacity is well, that chest is filled up, so we'll have a second one to finish emptying that. So, over at oil, we'll check up on the situation. And we're going to put a bunch of productivity modules in things. This is something I didn't really think about last episode, but of course I can put productivity modules in all of the stages of production to try and just make more out of nothing, essentially. Just try and make our oil go a little bit further in every way that it can. And with the cracking, it's not the biggest thing, because a lot of the... I don't know how much of the petroleum gas it contributes to, but it does contribute to some of it, and that's the important thing. So... a 20% increase now in the production rate of petroleum gas, and if we need any more cracking plants to switch on in order to keep up the old rates, then we can just power them up. I'm going to carry on putting processing units in there wherever I can. I keep calling them processing units, productivity modules in all of them, and I'm going to try and put it in all of the processes, like in all the other stages of production as well for oil stuff once I actually have some handy. At the moment we don't have that many around to actually put into things, so we've just done what we can. Put it all into the cracking for now. We've already got a bunch of it in the refineries, so we'll have to see what effect that has. So basically, there'll be 20% more stuff in each stage of the process, and it does stack up. And by the end of it, you get quite a lot more, I think. Unfortunately, the issue is that there's quite a hefty cost with making so many productivity modules, and we don't have many handy. It's a bit annoying because we had a ton of productivity and speed modules handy, level 3, but they were all in an assembler for rocket defense, and when rocket defense ceased to be a thing, so did all of the things in that assembler, so it set us back quite a way. And if we hadn't lost that, we would have been able to do a lot more upgrading with our oil system, and it will probably be fine now. But as it is, we're just going to have to muddle along, try and craft whatever we can, and just make do. And try and expand. We could try and get some more oil coming in from somewhere. At the end of the day, we could just find some oil deposit and start using it, but I'd rather just not bother with that. They're all miles away, and I'd have to set up a train or a really, really long pipeline that I could not be bothered with. So I've just sort of left it. I'm just going to put more speed modules and productivity modules and everything. Speaking of which, seeing as it's taking a million years for any new level 3 productivity modules to be made, I decide to take them out of the science system. It's unlikely that we'll get any more research to be done until 0.13, so they're not going to be needed for a while. If we do need to do some research later, we can always put them back in. But we have so many alien artifacts at this point that it doesn't really matter. We can probably just stick some efficiency modules in there and carry on using these in here. So we'll upgrade or side grade all of the plastic production, so we now get 20% more of that. So that's yet another stage that's been upgraded, and we'll also try doing like the rocket fuel production. We might even go into the main base and do we'll do sulfur as well. We might go into the main base and upgrade like sulfuric acid production. The thing is, like, if we really wanted to absolutely maximize the oil we can get, we could go really far with this and go to like the production of like blue belts because they use lubricant. So if you upgraded the efficiency of that, then the effects would sort of ripple back through the system. Less oil would be needed for that, so we could go into other things, i.e. the advanced circuits. So I put a bunch into the rocket fuel, but now I'm worried that there isn't enough rocket fuel being produced. I think the rate was equal to to the production rate of the other requirements for rockets. So now that we've put in the productivity modules, the speed has dropped and it's no longer quick enough. So I decided to put in a second assembler, but we have to work out how we actually arrange that. It's a bit messy. There's not really that much room. There's a big coal line that we have to contend with, and I can put some underground belts in or even shift it if I want, but I see about just trying to keep it in the space that we've got. It's always a nice bit of a challenge if you've got some system that you need to set up and a small space in which to set it up, and you don't know whether that space is big enough to set the thing up or not, but you try it anyway and see if you can manage. So yes, we'll put in a second one, and then we just need to make sure that the rocket fuel runs into both, and then runs out of them again. The only thing is that there's a chest full of rocket fuel, and our inventory is completely full right now of all sorts of random rubbish. It's really got messy since it's been getting messy for a very long time. Anyway, while we're working on this, we have a power failure. An apparent complete shutdown, which is a bit of a worry. It goes fine again, but what it suggests is that at the moment the accumulators are running out before the sun has even had a chance to start rising, which is not good. And we'll have to see about fixing that, because of course every time we take efficiency modules out of something and put in either speed or productivity modules, we drastically increase the power consumption, and it's not doing the power production any good. It was already suffering. It's been suffering for a while at this point, and really I just need to have like a big overhaul of it, put a bunch more solar panels and accumulators in, or even just reinstate the steam engines at this point. Because the thing is, we've got a giant coal deposit that we've recently built an outpost on, and we pushed the biters back so far that it doesn't really matter if we make a ton of pollution at this point. As you can see in the spot I'm standing right now, it is ridiculous because we've taken out all the efficiency modules and the pollution is just going mental. It's what it would be in any other base apart from mine. So I might just do that. I might just switch to coal again. We will get coal being delivered to some steam engines that are by the lake, pump our pollution out over the lake as we've done in the past. It hasn't seemed to have done us any harm. Who knows, maybe the lake was angry and decided to grow in response, so we'd have more trouble with it. But anyway, I'm doing what I can, checking up on the oil levels, and it looks like we need to turn on a few more of the cracking plants because, of course, with putting in the productivity modules, the speed has been dropped a fair bit, and it is not compensated by the extra stuff produced. I think it's something like it reduces your speed twice as much as it increases the number of things you make. I forget the amount, but I've upgraded a few anyway just to help with that. We'll check up on the plastic now that we've done all that, and surely it should be a ton better now. Loads of plastic flowing in, it should back up and everything, so we'll watch as it goes along, see how far it gets, and it should get a lot further than before, except it doesn't. Once again, one piece of plastic goes into that second to last assembler and nothing else, which is a bit annoying. One of the reasons is the power failures, as was indicated by everything dying at once. Once again, the power ran out before the sun started to rise. In fact, this time it ran out before even the halfway point of the night. The only reason it started again was because of my backup power system kicking in. So one of the reasons that the plastic may not have improved is that because of the power failures, less was being made anyway. So maybe that if we fix the power, then the plastic will improve and maybe even start backing up, though that still looks like it's a bit of a way away, and we'll have to just wait and see. But yeah, what we're going to do is fix it by plonking a bunch more solar panels around the place. I've grabbed a good 2 stacks plus of it, as well as 2 stacks of accumulators, to try and remedy the problem. I can't even work out which is more of a problem, because at the moment the solar panels are running non-stop and the accumulators aren't filling up and are running out. So I don't know which needs to be increased. I guess it's both. But usually I look at how the power system is failing and can work out what needs to be added. But at this point the answer is everything, because it's all gone to pot, basically. So I put in all the solar panels we have handy, and then we'll put in 2 new squares of accumulators. And then once we've got a bunch more crafted back at the main base, we can add in even more. It's a big task. There's a lot of power now going into the oil. I wouldn't be surprised if half of the factory's power is going into the oil after the It's horrific treatment at my hands of adding in all of these modules everywhere. They're saying that logistics probably uses up a lot of it because we're using it more and more, and you can't put any modules into roboports, which is always annoying. So yeah, I've just sorted out the wood thing there. We had the wood going into those provider chests. It has now finished. It's in the chest, and we can just leave it there. So I've deconstructed the old stuff, and while I'm here, I'm just going to pop some more speed modules into all of these pump jacks here, and that should help. Every little helps. It'll get there. Of course, that is probably disregarding all of the power improvements we just made, or at least a fair chunk of it. But we've gone down over to the Mega Train, and we've grabbed some destroyer drones, because last episode we ran out of them. We were trying to kill all the biters that were a bit too near to the base, and we had to give up and fall back because we ran out of destroyer drones. So I've grabbed another 100, and at some point we should deal with the biters to the south of the main base, because they are getting a little bit close. It is a bit worrying, and you know, it's been so long since the main base has been attacked that the defenses are horrifically outdated, and if the biters did turn up, they would probably wreck a lot of it. Now I think about it, that really should have been priority number 1 in this episode, and it wasn't. So we may even need to... We might have to do that next episode or something. Yeah, there's some big bases that are getting very near to things in the south, and I've sort of disregarded them for a while because Copper 1 has been gone, and so they weren't really near anything important. But if they did launch an attack, they would keep going and arrive and kill, and it would not be good. Anyway, back in the main base, the processor unit supply is actually building up, or has built up and is now running down. It's hard to say, but it is now readily available to all the assemblers that want it. Though it's not very stable. It looks like it's running down and at times and going up at the times. We'll keep an eye on it, but it's a good sign. And I think we've also moved the inserter for the second speed module production up by, down along the line by 1, so that it gets a slightly higher priority over the advanced circuits as well, over the processing unit production. So that's a fairly decent sign. It might be that our changes are actually working, our improvements, so we can look at that later. But now I want to start thinking about leaving again. We've not been to the midpoint for a while, so I decide that it's probably time to go back to Mega Copper 1. But I think before we do that, the reason I say Mega Copper 1 is because there is a lot of work to be done there. I've been sort of putting it off until I was actually going to go back to the midpoint, and so I decided to do that. So I get all the materials for a trip to Mega Copper 1, and I think, well, hang on, should I really be taking one of the Mega Copper trains when the Mega Train is still here? I should probably just take that to the midpoint and stop along the way to sort things out, rather than take one of the copper trains, because I'll just have to come back again. So after waiting until one of the trains arrives, I make the decision to not take it, and we'll just sort of quickly check that we're happy with everything that's going on in the main base before setting off on a journey back to the midpoint, so we can continue work there. And we'll leave the rocket to be produced. I don't think I've checked it any time recently, but I know that it's running now. Speaking of running, that's what the factory has stopped doing because we've had another power failure, but it is improving. Our additions to the solar production have meant that the power failed only just before the sun started to rise. It's still not great, but it's a step in the right direction, and we will continue that by getting some more power materials and seeing if we can add some more to it. Once again, we have some trouble with our inventory, and I just dumped some stuff into the trash slots. It's getting very messy. All sorts of stuff of various kinds. Maybe there should be like an inventory size upgrade, I don't know. Anyway, we've got the solar panels. I was going to say we need, but that's not true. We've got the solar panels that we've got, and we'll put them in. We're just sort of continually extending this particular field. I've given up trying to make it square because I can't be bothered like wandering off into the wilderness to build a new solar field when I can just continue to extend this one in random directions out into the middle of nowhere. We'll also have a quick look at the backup power system. That seems to be running fine. We'll just leave it, and it's doing its job. When there's a power failure, it does kick in and stop things from being completely shut down. At the end of the day, it's not very good, but there's no reason to get rid of it. At some point we should probably upgrade it. I've said all that before though, so I think it's time to go on the Mega Train. Now, oh no, that's what I thought, but then on my way there, I spotted this mess of power supply stuff, and then once I fix this and clear it all away and stop wasting so many substations, I remembered that I've got some accumulators that I still need to deploy. So I make my way back up to the northeast part of the base, where we have our accumulator squares, and we're running out of space. There's not much room anymore to put any more in. I could just set up a new spot somewhere, but I can't be bothered with that. That's effort. I have to go and like wander around and make a decision about where it goes. I don't want to do that. So there's a bit of room in the north still, so we'll just plonk it down there, and that'll be fine for now. And then we'll go back to the midpoint when we come back. We'll have a look at how things have stabilized, and things should improve while I'm gone, because there will just be less going on with me not there. And it may be that in that case the power starts to be alright, and maybe even the oil supply starts to be alright. We'll just have to see. So yeah, we'll go back to the midpoint, leave the base, hopefully nothing explodes, and when we come back should be when the rocket is ready to be launched, and we'll get to do that, see what happens. I'm hoping that it doesn't leave a window in the top corner of the screen, because I noticed that I did that as a test in another game, and a box appeared in the screen telling me that there was one rocket launched, and I was wondering if that was ever going to disappear. We'll find out that close to the time, I guess. But yes, as I make my way back to the south, I quickly stop by in the oil production, see how it's going, power up some more of the cracking plants, because it looks like we basically need all of them at this point, with all of their speed being reduced by the productivity modules. And then finally, we will make our way over to the Mega Train and return to the midpoint. But on our way, we will stop at the copper place, the Mega Copper one. That's what it's called. One last thing I do is I decide to assign the filters in the second to last cargo wagon, because instead of storing alien artifacts, I'm going to use them to store concrete, because it's new, and it'll be quite useful, I think. In the midpoint we could concrete the whole place and it'd be lovely. The only thing is I mess up with the buttons. First of all, I accidentally dump the contents of the cargo wagon into my inventory, as if my inventory wasn't in a terrible enough state as it was. So I spent some time clearing that up, and then when it finally comes to actually sorting out the filters, I can't seem to do it, and I've worked out in hindsight what it was. Basically, the middle mouse button has stopped clicking properly on my mouse, it would appear. You have to really press it down for it to work. So I was pressing it down and doing the command to clear away the filters, but I wasn't clicking it hard enough, and then I started clicking it hard enough, but without doing the clearing thing, because I didn't realise, I thought that wasn't working, and because it wasn't the right key binding. So in the end I just leave it, because I get confused and can't do it, and I just decide to have 5 stacks of concrete just in my inventory, and we'll sort it out at the other end. Now that I've worked it out, I can probably sort that out in no time at all when we get back over to the midpoint, though we will probably end up with things getting messy, because chests will start trying to unload into it as I'm changing the filters and stuff. I don't even know what will happen. So we'll set it to go to Mega Midpoint, but we'll stop by at Mega Copper 1. One issue being that there is no space for me to park there right now, so I'll have to work that out when I arrive. You can actually see the biter bases as we pass. It's a bit dark, so it's hard to see, but they have advanced to the point where I can now see them from the rails, which is a bit of a worry, but in fairly short order we make our way over to Mega Copper 1. Doesn't take too long in triple speed. I forget how that was. I think 3 minutes was the journey to get from the midpoint to the main base, so this is like 1 minute, maybe a bit more. So we arrive, and then I decide to just make a new siding that the Mega Train can sit in whenever I'm visiting Mega Copper 1. Conveniently, the water is in just the right place to not be in the way. Now the only thing is that I need to actually get it into the spot, having moved it forward quite a bit. And of course, as I try and reverse, a train turns up, and then another train turns up on the other side, so that I can't get past there either. So now I'm trying to maneuver to reverse around the loop, but it keeps going to the wrong side, and half the time it's because I'm steering in the wrong direction, because the controls are reversed while I'm doing this, and the other half of the time it's because I don't move forward far enough, and I end up stuck on the on the wrong side of the split. In the end, we have to move one of the trains in order to get enough space to actually get into the right position. But once we do, we can put in some signals and set the trains off running again. I decided to set up a station, and we're going to call it Mega Copper Mega Train, because that's what it is. We'll park up the train there, make sure everything's good there, and then we'll have an autosave. And we'll leave that there. We'll just put some signals in so that the other trains can continue. I set off that copper train running again. That copper train's actually going to the midpoint, which confused me for a bit, because of course it's going in the opposite direction, because it needs to get to the loop, so they can... Wait a minute? No, it doesn't. Oh, it needs to get to the loop so it can arrive in the Mega Copper, isn't it? That's what it was. So yes, there we go. They're arriving, and you can see the copper supply isn't great. There's a couple of miners run out, and we need to do some work on it. But we will do that in the next episode, so we'll make our way to the middle of this thing, and I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.